In this recap, a woman likes to put glass up her crotch. She watches a man bathe. That man likes to caress himself. And a weird brother-brother relationship? Grab your popcorn to find out what happens in this movie called The Feast. A Welsh folklore creature rises from the earth to take revenge on a family who has been drilling the earth. The characters that die in this film is reflective of how they treated nature. An oil rig worker randomly falls dead to the ground. Then later a lot of nothing happens. A man who has a difficult name to pronounce, so I'll call him Weirdo, looks like he's going for a bike ride, but it also looks like he's dressed as the guy from American Horror Story. He caresses himself and then grabs his balls while Guto, his brother, stares at him. Guto then chops wood. This foreshadows how he will meet his demise. Katie's first day at Glenda's estate, and she's late. Her hair is also wet. Guto's axe head falls on his foot, and he pulls a Peter Griffin. Guto finds that he cut his foot. Glenda, the mom, is hosting a dinner and enlists Katie to help her out. Katie sets up the table, and suddenly she hears gunshots nearby. It's just Gwyn, the husband, hunting. Mysteriously, a mud mark appears on the tablecloth when Katie gets up. This is our first clue that Katie is not human. She represents the earth, Mother Nature. Glenda is not pleased with the mud mark. Katie goes to the painting to caress it. It almost looks like she wants to make out with it. The painting is actually a map of the property. The rise is where a Welsh myth creature resides. Weirdo interrupts her makeout session with the painting by using the blender. Weirdo is Glenda's son and says he will not be joining them for dinner since he's on a strict diet. Katie hears Guto playing his guitar, and then she decides to snoop around the house. She sees Weirdo taking a bath and starts to lurk while he shaves his private areas. Glenda talks to Katie while she cuts up some fruit. She tells Katie that her husband is part of the parliament. Gwyn, the husband, comes by with 2 dead rabbits, and Katie is a bit startled by the dead rabbits. Katie rushes outside, and she runs into Weirdo. Katie is upset by the dead rabbits. And Weirdo talks about how his dad likes to kill innocent things. Glenda is a little disappointed that Katie isn't familiar with skinning rabbits, but luckily she knows how to do it. She tells Katie to go to her closet to grab new clothes since Katie has stained hers. While Katie gets ready, she looks a bit psycho as she tries on earrings. Gwyn apologizes to Katie for scaring her earlier and asks if they could be friends. As Katie walks away, Gwyn hears a ringing in his ears. While Katie prepares food, she sings a song, "You Better Watch Out." Glenda comes by and joins Katie in singing the song. It reminds Glenda of her mom since she used to sing it to her. Gwyn compliments Katie on her beautiful voice. Later, Guto and Gwyn talk. We find out that Guto is a drug addict. It seems Guto and Weirdo have dad issues as well. The family gets ready for the dinner party. Glenda wonders where Weirdo is. Gwyn gets the ringing in his ears again. The camera looks to Katie looking sinister, and there's flashbacks of things that happened. Later, Guto and Katie talk. Guto asks if Katie knew his grandparents, and says Katie is basically mute. Guto admits that he wants to go back to London where it's lively. Guto asks Katie if she got drugs, and Katie leads him to the forest where she grabs mushrooms. From afar, Weirdo is actually watching them. Euro, a dinner guest, arrives and drops his wine. Katie is tasked to clean it up. She weirdly inspects the glass and it looks like she stuck it up her skirt. Later, Katie serves Euro. Gwyn explains to Euro how he shot the rabbits. Gwyn tells Guto to find Weirdo. Guto walks in on Weirdo caressing himself. Guto says at least they'll inherit their parents' money one day. Guto and Gwyn almost seem like they're stuck at the house, and they want to hitch a ride with Katie to leave. Weirdo asks if Katie let Guto do things to her, and Guto is weirded out by Weirdo, so he leaves. Katie stares at Euro. Euro drinks some wine, then fishes out long pieces of hair from his mouth. Later, Euro and Gwyn talk about the land and how Gwyn is drilling it for resources. He talks about caves in the area that will need to be inspected. Mare, another dinner guest, arrives. She says her husband couldn't make it because he's helping to pull a car out of the lake. Katie peeks at them from a distance, and her hands leave a muddy trail on the wall. Mare meets Katie, and Mare knows of her already. She gives her condolences to Katie for a recent loss. Then Katie goes to grab the food from the fridge. It makes her gag. She throws up on it on purpose. Meanwhile, Guto's foot is gushing with blood now. He goes over to his mushrooms to eat more. While Katie is plating, we learn that Katie's father died while he was building the wind turbines. Weirdo finally joins the dinner party. Gwyn is disappointed that Weirdo has left his job as a doctor to focus on being a triathlete. Glenda shows Mare where she goes to relax. Mare inspects the room and is a little creeped out by it since it's basically like a dungeon cell. Katie looks at them eerily at the hallway. A red feather falls in front of Glenda, and Mare doesn't see this, so she wonders what's wrong with Glenda. They leave the room. Katie is outside and she starts to lay on the grass. It's almost like she's having intercourse with the earth, then vines caress her. More evidence to believe that she is one with the earth. At dinner while they eat, they ask about Gwen's heart scare, but Weirdo dismisses it by saying it was just stomach acid. Guto interrupts because he notices Weirdo's plate of raw meat. Gwen tells Guto to go to his room. Guto leaves. He cuts up more shrooms, then decides to inject the juices into himself. Later, Gwen tells Mare that she has resources on the farm that they're interested in, and Euros is here to help make Mare a lot of money. Mare is a bit hesitant, so Glenda tries to persuade her that the money would help them retire comfortably. Suddenly, Weirdo starts to choke. Gwen comes over to try to help Weirdo. Katie comes over and shoves her fist down Weirdo's throat and removes large pieces of hair. Glenda thanks Katie for helping with everything and to bring Guto some food. Katie walks away and leaves a muddy trail that Glenda notices. In the bedroom, Katie sees a very bloody bedroom and sees that Guto's leg is now infested with maggots. Katie licks and eats his legs while Guto screams in agony. Later, Gwen forces Katie to sing for everyone. Then all of a sudden the ringing in his ears return. The ringing in his ear must represent how he drills the earth with loud machinery. Gwen is being punished for it. Katie walks away. Weirdo follows Katie. Katie hugs him and they start to make out. They head outside. Glenda shows a painting to Mare and explains to her that it's basically a map of their land. Glenda says they found resources in the Rise area, but they need to inspect Mare's side of the land. Mare is displeased because there's superstition not to touch the Rise. She says that is where she rests, and she shouldn't be awakened. Glenda makes fun of Mare for believing in this tall tale. So Mare decides it's time for her to go. Mare says Glenda's mother would be disappointed in their daughter. Then Gwen gets ringing in his ears again, so Glenda rushes to help him. Meanwhile, Guto is now in the forest in pain. Katie brought Weirdo over to help since he used to be a doctor. Guto says anyone but him. Katie hands Weirdo the axe. Guto says his brother has raped many women, and Weirdo says it doesn't matter since they were asleep. Weirdo is entranced by Katie, and he axes his brother's leg and blood squirts in Katie's face. Katie is happy, then Weirdo decides to penetrate her. Remember from earlier when Katie inserted a piece of glass inside her? Yep, Weirdo is now in agony as he scrapes and cuts his sausage. At the beginning of the film, we saw Guto cutting up wood, and with the same axe, his own leg is cut up. These characters are being punished for disrespecting nature. For Weirdo, since he raped girls at the hospital, his sausage is now ruined from the piece of glass that was inserted in Katie's kitty. Meanwhile at the house, Gwen lays in bed. Glenda tells Euro he needs to smoke outside. Glenda looks at the painting. Then she notices someone outside staring at her. It's her dead mother. So she goes outside to look for her, but instead she finds that Mare is back. Mare tells Glenda that the car they pulled out of the lake was Katie's, and that the creature needs a body. So we assume that some earthly mythological creature took Katie's body and is now taking revenge for drilling the earth. That is why Katie's hair was wet at the beginning of the movie, since she drove into the lake. Suddenly, Gwen is experiencing terrible pain. He makes his way to Glenda's sex dungeon while Katie walks to him with a skewer. I like vegetable skewers. Katie closes the door behind her. Euro is back munching on some food, and Glenda is also back looking for Katie. She brings a knife while she looks for her. Meanwhile, Katie is singing to Gwen while they insert the skewer into his ear. Gwen eventually dies. Glenda puts on a dress and calls for her kids to come home. Weirdo comes back holding Guto, and Glenda is distraught, saying they were never supposed to go to the Rise. Later, Euro is now feasting ferociously. Glenda serves him Guto's foot and he finishes it. I believe this scene depicts how greedy Euro is. His insatiable appetite is punishment for his desire to drill the land. Glenda comes over and shoves a gun into Euro's mouth. She tells Euro that he's taken everything, then shoots him dead. Katie is then seen stacking the bodies and throwing wood at them, while Glenda slices her throat. Katie then brings Glenda's dead body over to burn everyone. Back at the oil rig machine, Katie stands there all bloody and relieved now that she can rest in the earth. I'm not entirely sure if Katie was Mother Nature herself or Glenda's mom. Katie constantly sang and hummed the song Glenda's mom used to always sing, so it makes me wonder if it's her. Or maybe Mother Nature is like God and all-knowing, so she knew this about Glenda's mom. Overall, this movie gets a burnt popcorn rating. I definitely won't be watching it again. Subscribe for more videos like this. Turn on notifications and leave a like. It really helps the channel.